Takes all sorts to make a universe. One or two of my best friends were human. As for Daleks, Cybermen, Zygons, dreadful, dreadful. Between you and me, we couldn't live without them. No, no, no.
In the wilderness of space and time live aliens beyond our worst nightmares.
Doctor.
Creatures whose sole intention is to destroy life as we know it. The Doctor dares to face these evil monsters. He is our hero. But who are these villains? Who does the Doctor fear? Meet them now in the Carnival of Monsters.
Exterminate all humans!
Exterminate all humans!
Cybermen were once human. They came from the planet Mondas, a twin of our own Earth. But these cyborgs exchanged human parts for robot parts and began a terrifying transformation.
Come on. What the heck?
Rather than friends, they became a fearful foe.
What are we gonna do?
Against the wall.
Remain silent, or you will die.
What the heck are you?
The Cybermen first landed at the South Pole. Their planet was dying, and they sought to drain energy from ours. The evolution of the Cybermen was rapid. They became less and less human and more like robots. They even spoke like machines.
We've got 2 men in space. If we don't act now, we won't get them back alive.
They will not return.
Why not?
I eventually came up with this voice, which I based really, I thought in those days, on a sort of computer voice. So it was, we do not want you to go into that area. It was all very broken.
Well, there is really no point. They could never reach Earth now.
Don't you care?
Care? No, why should I care?
It lasted for, I think, for the one, and then we changed the voices for the next lot.
We will survive.
You had this head on, and the mouth was attached to your chin by a rubber strap, I suppose, or elastic or something. So when the line came that the Cyberman was supposed to say, you did that, you see, and it opened this letterbox flap. Peter Hawkins said the line off camera, and on the end of the line, you shut it. So you didn't do that, you just opened it, the line came out, and shut it.
You will be on the first of a new race of Cybermen.
New race of Cybermen? But we're humans, we're not like you.
You will be.
Humans were snatched against their will and forced to undergo cybernetic transformation. Resistance was futile. Power in their fingertips and superhuman strength. To meet a Cyberman was to meet your death.
I tell everybody that I was a Cyberman because they all go, no way. Because it was great. It's the most scary. I think next to the Dalek was the most scariest of the Doctor Who baddies.
Cybermen know no fear. Tough psychologically and physically, protected by a shell that can resist even bullets.
And the gear, you just think this is going to be horrible. Is what you think. And it was far, far worse than you could ever imagine. First of all, the outfit went on. It was a bit like a crimpling suit, as I remember, and you get zipped up and they put the chest plate on you. Moon boots, gloves, and the helmet was probably the worst. And it was held with 4 screws. I mean, one of the technical guys would sit and screw you, the back plate of this helmet, and you just knew once you were in it, you were never going to get out of it, and that was absolutely true.
As they developed into total machines, the Cybermen swapped their conscience for logic. They felt no emotion. It was a human failing they'd left behind.
Who is this woman?
An Earthling, no one of consequence.
It's a lot.
Be quiet.
She's one of your crew.
In a manner of speaking.
I see the Time Lords have emotional feelings.
Of sorts.
Surely a great weakness in one so powerful.
Emotions have their uses.
They restrict and curtail the intellect and logic of the mind.
They also enhance life. When did you last have the pleasure of smelling a flower, watching a sunset, eating a well-prepared meal?
These things are irrelevant.
For some people, small, beautiful events is what life is all about.
Kill her.
Cybermen were not invincible. They could be defeated. But it needed a sudden, devastating attack of extreme violence. It was the only language they understood.
Will cost you your life.
Sometimes the Cybermen used to get killed and their heads were blowing off and things, so they'd have a special costume for a shortish person, and the head would be above my head inside their costume.
What are they?
Cybermen.
Eradicate them.
The Cybermen came back, stronger and more determined. But they had a weakness for gold. Primitive arrows tipped in the precious metal could kill. And so could modern laser guns. The silver tide was driven back. For now. The experimental robot K1 was the creation of Professor Kettlewell. But the robot was reprogrammed by the sinister Scientific Reform Society. It became their tool for seizing control of the world's nuclear power.
You are an enemy. You must be destroyed.
But the robot retained some of its original programming and faced a dilemma over its actions.
It was very important to me that the robot had a character. It smashes up a few railway stations, you know, and stomps on people and throws people in the air and things, but basically it's got a good heart and it's misunderstood, you know.
What's the matter? I have been given orders that conflict with my prime directive.
Oh, no.
I do not understand. Help me.
This enormous robot was built of aluminium with me inside it, and because I couldn't see where I was going and had these huge articulated feet, I kept falling over and cutting myself to pieces. There were all sorts of bolts and rivets inside it, and I'd come out of the thing with blood everywhere. Oh dear, so they put a bit more padding in. But it didn't matter what they did. Wherever I fell over, I managed to cut myself again.
You are an enemy of the human race. I must destroy you. Please do not resist. I do not wish to cause you unnecessary pain.
It isn't human, you know. It has no feelings.
Oh, it's got a brain, hasn't it? It walks and talks like us. How can you be sure it doesn't have feelings, too? Are you all right?
My functioning is unimpaired.
Really, Miss Smith, this is absurd.
I had it even having a kind of romance with the doctor's assistant, you know, because she's the only one who treats it kindly and it forms a sort of devotion for her.
I can bring about the destruction of humanity. But do not fear, Sarah. You alone will be saved.
I think just for once, we're not going to need the doctor.
Armed with a disintegrator gun, the Brigadier believed he had the only weapon capable of stopping the robot, but he was wrong. On firing the ray, the robot blew up to King Kong proportions. The doctor knew better. He drove at the robot with a corrosive metal virus. It worked, and the robot was reduced to rust.
She must answer some questions first. Why are they afraid?
Understand a thousandth of my agony? I, Morbius, who once led the High Council of the Time Lords and dreamed the greatest dreams in history, now reduced to this, to a condition where I envy a vegetable.
Morbius should really be dead. He is a renegade Time Lord from Gallifrey. He was executed by his own people for his heinous crimes, but his brain survived and was rescued by the fanatical scientist Solon. The Doctor found Morbius on planet Karn, home of the mad Dr. Solon. Inside his castle, the scientist was preparing his fiendish experiment to resurrect Morbius, the Time Lord.
We take head now. You put that away. This'll be no crude butchery.
Solon drugged the Doctor, intending to use his head for the brain of Morbius. Plan A is foiled. Sarah Jane discovered the horrible truth. A Frankenstein body made from the remains of dead aliens. Solon had a plan B for the head of Morbius.
There, did you see that? You see, that was the first sign you would expect.
Successful?
The costume designer would have to literally sew you up completely in this costume that was very, very thick latex rubber. And then he would have to dress it, put fur on it, all hairy it was at the back. And there was no question of you being able to get out of the costume through the whole of the shoot.
When it is learned that I, Morbius, have returned from the grave, my followers will rise in their myriad.
You really can't go on calling yourself Morbius. There's very little of Morbius left.
Morbius took on the Doctor in a series of violent encounters. It ended with the ultimate challenge, 2 Time Lords in a battle of the brains.
On guard, Morbius.
At the end of it, I had to be attacked by these nuns, flailing these lighted torches near a cliff. And we had to do quite a spectacular fall in this costume with this huge goldfish bowl head. Being a gymnast, I was able to get pushed over the cliff, do a complete somersault, and land in a layer of boxes.
There's no advantage in killing, yet slavery is more efficient.
Sontarans are cloned warmongers from an unknown planet. They've amassed enormous battle fleets in their continuing war with the Rutans. They live to fight any time, any race, their hideous battle-scarred bodies hidden inside their robes of war.
There was this idea that we would have an alien who would take his helmet off, and the head inside, under the helmet, would almost be exactly the same size as the helmet.
The female of the species.
Nothing is deadlier than a Sontaran. Quick to anger, they possess a vast array of weaponry and incredible determination.
Unspeakable abomination. Words, Earthling, will never prevail against Sontaran might.
Because the costumes were quite fragile, we used to have to devise these stunts in a special way, but shoot it in such a way that he didn't actually touch me, otherwise I'd have torn the costume to bits.
The Sontarans are powerful, but tire quickly. Their fatal flaw is their need to re-energize in their spaceship.
Every species has its own weakness, Lynx. For instance, you can only be stunned by a blow on the probic vent. That small hole at the back of your neck.
Exterminate all humans!
Exterminate all humans!
Exterminate, annihilate, destroy! Daleks conquer and destroy! Daleks conquer and destroy!
Of all the aliens in the known universe, the Daleks are the most feared. They are mutant life forms created to become a super race. Like the Doctor, they can travel in time and space. Their sworn enemy is the Doctor. Their first epic encounter was on Skaro, the planet where the Daleks were created.
You will move ahead of us and follow my directions. This way.
Help me! Kill him!
The Daleks are highly intelligent, technically advanced, ruthless killing machines.
Resistance will be dealt with in the same way.
Capsule now.
The design of the Daleks is almost perfect. They have armor casing, they have built-in neutralizer weapons, they have all-round vision.
Exterminate him! Exterminate him! Exterminate him!
The design was mine. I did ring up Terry Nation at one point and said, look, I'm a bit worried about this. What do you think? What are your thoughts about this? He said, there's a show on in London at the moment called the Georgian State Dancers. There's a dance in that where the peasants come out in long skirts and they float across the stage as though they're on roller skates. He said, well, that's how I see the Dalek. You know, no legs.
I still have an ongoing sort of nightmare. And it is in some place where we're in this long corridor and the Daleks are coming. And I remember when we were actually shooting it, the fear was real because they are inanimate and they are just coming, you know, and at you. And it was really quite scary.
Where are the space travelers?
The genius of the Dalek, of course, is that it didn't look like somebody in a suit. If you wrote down the description, people would say, what's scary about that?
The Daleks are strategic experts. They retain the element of surprise. The sound of a Dalek is the last sound you can expect to hear.
You will obey! You will obey!
We are the masters of Earth.
I'd perhaps do 2 or 3 voices, and I'd do one talking to another one, and altering the tone of things as it went along. And so you'd have a high-pitched Dalek and a lower-pitched Dalek, and one who wasn't quite as secure as the others. It was quite fascinating to do that.
Fast state expansion, primary neutrino release. Core collapse, instigated. Danger, instability, reaction out of control.
Home planet Skaro about to vaporize.
There is no lighter side to a Dalek, you know, they're pure evil, they're just downright bad, you know, and I think that appeals to people, especially to kids. They're totally black-hearted.
Just as I thought.
humanoid?
Yes. Davros, the evil genius who created the Daleks.
Davros was the brilliant head of the Khaled science elite. After centuries of war with the Thals, the Khaleds were almost finished. The Daleks were his solution to their survival.
Now, I am going to turn the machine over to total self-control. Brilliant. Brilliant. It has detected the non-conformity. Idiots! I must exterminate! Exterminate! No! You dare to interfere. You have the audacity to interrupt one of my experiments.
But it would have destroyed him.
So you think the saving of a worthless life more important than the progress we have made?
But Davros had created a monster. The Daleks were soon out of his control.
Exterminate! I am your creator! You must, you will obey me! We obey no one! We are the superior beings! Exterminate!
Firing out which side camera? Out to left. Can you come forward, please, John?
I always say it would help if you'd been an octopus, because you sat in the machine, tied yourself onto a little seat, wore rubber-soled shoes so that you could trundle along. You needed 2 hands to fire the gun, diddly-dum, diddly-dum. You need 1 hand to fire the famous sink plunger. Usually with your head or your nose you pressed a little button which made the lights go in synchronization with your voice, and voice people would put in the lines.
Wait. Observe.
Well, that settles it. Go on. On the roof, quick, go on.
We knew they couldn't move very well. We knew they couldn't go up steps. They couldn't move fast. So we had to find all sorts of ways of working around that.
If you're supposed to be the superior race of the universe, why don't you try climbing after us? Bye-bye! Children were onto it. They were always telling, they say, do you know how to deal with dark? I'd say, no, how do you do that, Frank? And he'd say, and he'd look around very confidentially, and the kids would say, you run upstairs. And then I was, you know, would have to be, so they told me this all the time, and I kept having to pretend to be amazed. And it was good for children to work that out, wasn't it? Because the Daleks couldn't go upstairs.
Stay where you are! Do not move!
The stairs!
Oh, sorry.
You are the Doctor! You are the enemy of the Daleks! You will be exterminated! Exterminate! 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 All human female sighted on level 3.
What are you calling small?
Under attack! Under attack! There's an impaired! Reinforcements requested!
The Daleks rained terror across the galaxies. The Time Lords decide that the Doctor should go back to the moment of their inception, to blow up their incubators on Skaro, to kill them at birth, to change the course of time.
Have I that right?
To destroy the Daleks, you can't doubt it.
The Doctor could not play God. He let history run its course. The Daleks would lead the Carnival of Monsters.